What's up, everybody? It's your man right here, the one, the only, that beautiful Rhode Island Red Rooster, one of the original road warlords, and as always, bringing you the knowledge and dropping the science in this industry of what we call trucking, okay? Doing this particular video to speak upon getting a understanding about your particular position in a lease, right? Now, I've done some videos in the past. And stuff, so we're going to give a brief summary about your position and what you must do, when you're a lease driver, own operator, as far as it's coming to dispatch. Like I explained, your dispatcher is nothing more but a communicational piece between the load planners, the ones that are actually getting the loads, and then you, the driver, who are going to pick the load up. So, you see, in business, right, when you become a lease or own operator, wherever you go, it has to be a partnership. It has to be a partnership, because if there's no partnership, then you're a company driver. All right. Now, some of the questions that I've been receiving and stuff are coming from like people that are leased on with companies. They're talking about like their dispatchers. They're having issues with loads. They're getting loads, and people are talking about leaving because they're not making money, or just the company in general saying, well, the company in general talking about, they get a lot of DOT inspections and stuff like that. So, I better go with the DOT inspections first. As an own operator, a lease driver, the business has changed to a point where when it's dealing with you, right, the DOT, you have to look at them as regulation enforcers. They're regulation enforcers. So where do the regulations come from? The regulations come from your mega carriers. You see, they take their money. They take their money because they collaborate. We talked about the Big Five, the Big Ten. We talked about the ATA, the American Truck Association. So they are the ones that put in the people. They're the ones that put in the people in politics to make laws that are regulated in the transportation division. So when we're talking about people who get jobs, your particular politicians that say, well, they have no understanding about the industry. Correct. It's the money that goes behind that. So when you have money that's going behind your politicians, these were the regulations come out, and you notice that a lot of the carriers, right, are responsible for a lot of the fatalities that go on out here in the industry. A lot of accidents and fatalities and stuff, man, are a result of your mega carriers, despite the fact that they have all these safety devices and they make you go to all these safety classes and so on and so forth, all the cameras. It hasn't cut down on the accidents, right? But yet they are the ones that are in charge of safety administrations. They're the ones that roll out new policies and new laws and stuff like that, new regulations that are out here in the transportation division. And so, you have to look no further than when you go into these scale houses, look at the trucks that are pulling into, whether it's roadside inspection, whether it's a scale house, look at the trucks that are back there. Always be observant and stuff about what's going on. So the DOT are nothing more than regulation enforcers. Because what's also understood, and when we understand this from a federal perspective, right, that they reached an agreement when it comes to motor vehicles, in general, that you're going to always be in some kind of violation. You're going to always be in some kind of violation. That's already agreed. So, when we take all this into perspective, then we know that, well, okay, as me being a lease driver, me being an own operator, what does that mean? You're a small business, which means you're going to be targeted more because you don't have per se representation in politics, right? And so what also comes with business, which is something that's not often said, but small business a lot of times are attacked they're attacking stuff based upon regulation. This is why, you know, a lot of your mom and pop stores are out of business now and stuff, because they can't compete with the prices that go on with a lot of these larger places like your Walmarts and stuff like that. Also, they can't compete with some of the regulation that is now being instituted inside of your business. So whereas a big business and stuff, you know, they can just go ahead and put these things into play, or not even have to worry about the regulators coming in there and regulating anything. You know, as a small business, you know, you're always subject to a surprise inspection. And so, you know, the inspection will leave you with violations that are going to cost you thousands of dollars. So trucking is no different. Trucking is no different. So, you know, when you go into scale houses, this is why I tell people, get familiar with the area that you run. Get familiar with where the the regulation enforcers and stuff are, you know, and make plans and stuff on how to deal with these certain, you know, whether it's a certain area or whether it's a certain lane or whatever. You know, again, you get familiar with the terrain. Where are they? What time do they work? So on and so forth. Because it's understood that you're gonna get some kind of violation of some kind. You know, they're not gonna waste their time pulling you in the scale just to say, okay, no violation discovered. You know, they're gonna find something, right? And you know, I don't think that a lot of write-ups and stuff that come are constituting safety, you see, because if it was, they would just put you out of service. You know, but you don't get any kind of out of service violation, but you do get a violation that, again, counts against your CSA score, counts against the carrier. And so, you know, this is why they have to make up certain policies and stuff like that, because after they get so many violations, then, you know, it leads to the company being audited. Once the company gets audited, then, you know, your ducks and stuff, again, has to be in a row, because they're going to come out with some kind of violation, right, against the carrier. We just had one over here recently, and the violations added up to $40,000. Now, this is something that you have to pay. You know, this is something that you have to pay in order to keep your authority numbers active. If not, then, you know, they suspend your authority, which means no one can haul freight. Now, so, you know, just keep that in mind. When you make that transition to become an own operator, right? When you make that transition to become an own operator, you know, if you get in someone's lease program, yeah, you're going to be subject to more DOT inspections. You know, you're going to be pulled in the scale and stuff a lot more. So you got to have an understanding of the routes and stuff that you run, what kind of enforcement and stuff is on that lane, like where they subject to do more roadside inspections, what time of the scales and stuff open and close, you know, those sort of things there. And just get yourself prepared for such, you know. But sometimes things happen a little bit too often, right? You know, case in point, like when I go to Maine, for instance, you know, the scale over there in Kittery usually pulls me in. And so I get pulled in, even though no violations discovered. I shouldn't be going in there back to back. You know, I went in last week, no violations discovered, level 2 inspection. I go back in there again, another level 2 inspection, no violation discovered. Now, according to regulations, right, once you pass a certain there are 3 level inspections, you know, level 3, 2, and 1. And so, you know, level 3 is supposed to give you at least 1 month with no one messing with you. Level 2 supposed to give you 3 months. It's either 3 or 4 months. And then, of course, if you pass a level 1, which is the, you know, that's the biggest inspection you can get. Once you get the sticker, that's supposed to certify you for 1 year, right? That's the way it's supposed to be and stuff. But, you know, again, it's simply, you know, that's up to the regulators. That's up to the regulator enforcers and stuff, which is the DOT. So, when you know this, right, as a business person, you have to operate yourself accordingly, okay? Because, you know, we're kind of like, small business is almost like operating like outlaws, like pirates. You know, And in order for them to stay relevant, they have to come up against small business. They have to come up against small business. If we understand the history of how certain things and stuff were done. And so I feel, I'll drop that video and stuff in a later time about, the DOT and how they operated, back then as compared to now. But, now, anyone that's becoming an own operator or getting into a lease program, you will be subject to more DOT inspections, more roadside inspections. And so, you have to get an understanding of the lane that you run and plan yourself accordingly. Now, the next step is your business. Now, you're in the business, and the business is based upon a partnership. And your partnership means that you have to be in the loop just as much as everyone else that's in there when it's consistent on making money. So, you're with the company, and well, okay, they're going to be finding the freight for you, right? They're going to be your dispatcher. They're going to be finding freight for you. You're not going to be able to find freight for yourself. So how did you protect yourself in order to make sure that the people are doing what they're doing and stuff is things on the up and up? You have to get familiar with what's called a rate confirmation sheet. Rate confirmation sheet. They get these loads from the brokers, right? They say, well, we work with good brokers. Well, what your load planner or your dispatcher, what they do in order to get freight for you is that they make a phone call or they go on the load board, the same thing that you can be doing. And so they look and they see this specific load, right? So then they call and inquire about this specific load and say, well, okay, you're in this area. You're not too far away from it. So the load is going from this place to that place. And this is what the load is paying. This is what it consists of. This is the commodity. This is the how much it's going to weigh, what time it picks up, what time it delivers, to get that basic information there. And so then they have a rate in mind, which they also negotiate. This is your load planner / dispatcher. And so they negotiate a rate with the broker, right? Once they agree to this, then they make the phone call to you, the driver, and say, well, hey, they got this load picking up over here, going here. Do you want it? And so if you have very little understanding about your business, right, then they're going to take full advantage. They're going to take full advantage. So they may negotiate a rate of, let's just say, $3,000, right? Load is paying $3,000, but then when your dispatcher reaches out to you, well, it's $2,000. It's $2,000, and then based upon the contract, what you sign, whether you're under 10%, 12%, 20%, they get the 20% based upon the agreed rate that was set between you and your dispatcher / load planner. All right, so you agreed to take the load for $2,000. So that means that that extra $1,000, they're pocketing that and stuff, but it's going to be an agreement between the broker. It's an agreement between the broker and stuff and the load planner. So they took $1,000 off the top, right? You agreed to take the load for $2,000 because this is what the dispatcher told you what the load was paying. Okay, so what reference do you have to know that load that you're doing is actually paying what it's supposed to pay? This is where you get when you get the understanding here, right? Then this right here will clear up a lot of the misdealings that you're going through with carriers who find loads for you. Demand that you get the original rate confirmation sheet from the broker. Because what's going to happen is that when you book the load, right, the broker is going to call you. They're going to be giving you information that's pertaining to the load, and that's it. Now, when you start asking about things like, well, what was the load paying? Well, they tell you, well, we can't disclose that information with you, right? Even though you're in a partnership, right? Because you're a lease driver, own operator, a contractor. So you're in a partnership and stuff along with the carrier. So you need to be in the loop as much as everyone else. But they say that they can't disclose that information with you. You have to get that information from your load planner / dispatcher, right? So You see, when they start saying things like that, that's shady business. That's shady business because you're in a partnership. So once you get the original rate confirmation sheet from the broker, you don't get it from your dispatcher, because it's easy for anyone to make up a spreadsheet and say, okay, well, here it is right here. Here's the rate confirmation sheet, but this is our rate confirmation sheet with the carrier. No, you want the original rate confirmation sheet from the broker, because the original rate confirmation sheet from the broker is how the carrier is going to get paid based upon the delivery of the load. You see, they negotiated the rate. This is what the rate is and stuff. They agreed upon it. They signed it. Which means that they went into a agreement. That's a contract. So once the contract is signed, then you go and you render over the service, and once the service is rendered, then you turn it in for compensation. They're going to need the rate confirmation sheet, which is the agreed upon rate between the carrier and the broker. They need the bill of lading to show that the load was delivered. Now you got to get in the loop as much as everyone else and stuff. And so when you start demanding to see those things, right, then you'll know, okay, well, they can't be quoting you rates and stuff that they feel is sufficient. They have to quote you rates based upon what they agreed with the broker. And then they take their rightful 12%, 10%, or 20% based upon that. But, a lot of times and stuff, loads and stuff are agreed upon, but because a particular person, which is the driver, that don't have this information to their knowledge, this is where you're taken advantage of and stuff there. And so, guys are sitting there making, they're making more money and stuff, or taking more money than what needs to be taken. And, those are when you're in positions of doing loads on percentage. Now, if you're on mileage, right, then it's not going to really matter. It's not going to really matter, because mileage and stuff, again, that's based upon the contract that you signed with the carrier. So, more miles, more money. I don't particularly agree with it, but, it does have, it has its advantages and disadvantages and stuff. And so, particularly if you're running in an area, like, those who want to stay in the South, for instance, where the rates aren't as great as running, in the Northeast or the Midwest and stuff like that. So again, getting paid by the miles, it has its advantages, it has its disadvantages. But, if you're going to be a lease driver / own operator, then, the preferred method of payment is percentage. And so understanding your percentage is by making sure that you're in the loop, right, based upon whatever's agreed upon about whatever load. And so, if you have skepticism, then again, make sure that you get the original rate confirmation sheet from the broker. That clears up most misconceptions about if you're having issues with your pay, right? Am I doing the load and stuff for the right amount of money? So with that being said, it's your man right here, the one, the only, that beautiful Rhode Island Red Rooster. Telling you as always, continue your research, fact-finding studies, harnessing your skills every day. Until next time we talk, next time we meet, be safe, be easy, and peace out.